What's going on, Not Move Nation? Welcome to the Not Move podcast. Today's February 20th at 8:28 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you to the supporters, subscribers, and followers. We appreciate you guys. Also, thank you to the sponsors: BetUS, MyBookie.ag, Walmart.com, Open Goal, the MLB and NFL Pro Shops, and W Energy Drinks. All right, let's start with those injuries. I see that Giannis for Milwaukee. I'll start with the notable injuries. I didn't have time to go through every single one, but yeah, Giannis for Antetokounmpo for Milwaukee Bucks is out due to a calf issue. Cooper Flag for Dallas out with a foot issue. SGA for Oklahoma City out with an abdominal issue. Jalen Williams for Oklahoma City out with a hamstring issue. Jalen Williams. Siakam for Indiana out again today due to personal reasons. Zubac for Indiana. They said that they had here on rotowire.com, ROTOwire.com is where I'm getting these injury updates. But they said on here on February 17th, so 3 days ago, that there's no timetable for a return for Zubats due to an ankle issue. Alex Soar for Washington out with a hamstring issue. Nurkic for Utah out due to injury management. Keontae George for Utah out with an ankle issue. Alama for Memphis out with a knee issue. Coward for Memphis out with a knee issue. Walter Clayton for Memphis doubtful with a calf issue. Now, let me just scroll through some of these other ones. Nick Claxton didn't play yesterday for Brooklyn due to a right ankle sprain. So we'll see if he plays today. Let me go up a little bit further here. Okay. TJ McConnell was out yesterday. He was questionable leading up yesterday's show. Whenever I did that, he was questionable. Didn't end up playing, so we'll see if he does today for Indiana. Neesmith is out today for Indiana due to an ankle issue. Let's see. Kobe White was out yesterday for Charlotte, so let's see if he plays today. I think he was questionable yesterday. Believe looks like Miles Bridges is still going to be out due to suspension for Charlotte. They said he has a 4-game suspension, so looks like he served 2 of those games so far. Diabate for Charlotte, same thing. He's suspended. Tyler Hero is probable for the Miami Heat tonight. He hasn't played in a little while now, so that'd be nice for Miami. However, Norman Powell is questionable due to lower back tightness. And, typically when players are questionable, there's about a 50-50 chance that they play. Let's see if there's anything else. Max Christie, questionable for the Dallas Mavericks today due to a left ankle sprain. Daniel Gafford, questionable for the Dallas Mavericks due to an ankle issue. Caleb Martin for Dallas, questionable with an ankle issue. Miles Turner is out today for Milwaukee due to a calf issue. And let me look at one thing here. Hope everybody's having a good day. Thanks for joining. Where is Missy? Missy for New Orleans is out today due to a left calf strain. That's what they're saying here. Ooh, Trey Murphy doubtful today for New Orleans Pelicans due to a right shoulder contusion. I don't know if I mentioned this, but Nick Claxton, he was questionable for Brooklyn yesterday. Whenever I did the morning show, and then he did not end up playing yesterday. So we'll see if we have more information on that leading up to game time. And then looks like we have one other questionable player here, and that is going to be Thibault for Portland, questionable with a knee issue. All right. So let's start off with Cleveland at Charlotte. Cleveland's on a 6-game win streak, Charlotte 1-game losing streak. Both of these teams did play yesterday. Cleveland has won 2 regular season games in a row against Charlotte, and Cleveland has also won the last 4 out of 5 regular season games against Charlotte. These teams have played against each other 3 times this season, and Cleveland has won 2 out of 3 of those meetings. The first game was on December 14th at Cleveland. This game today is at Charlotte. But yeah, at Cleveland. And Charlotte did win that game by 8 points in overtime, 119 to 111. The second game was on December 22nd at Cleveland, and Cleveland won by 7 points, 139 to 132. But the most recent game was on January 21st at Charlotte, like it is here today, and Cleveland won by 7 points, 94 to 87. Cleveland has an 8-4 money line record on Fridays this season. Charlotte has a 3-4 money line record on Fridays this season. Cleveland has won 8 consecutive games that they've played any team on February 20th. Donovan Mitchell has a 7-1 career record against LaMelo Ball. Donovan Mitchell, plays with Cleveland. LaMelo Ball with Charlotte. James Harden for Cleveland also has a 4-1 career record against LaMelo. Donovan Mitchell, if Kobe White plays today for Charlotte, if he does end up playing, Donovan Mitchell does have a 13-2 career record against Kobe White. And then I noticed that Evan Mobley scored his career high in points, which was, he's for the projected starting power forward for Cleveland today. He scored his career high in points, which was 41 points at Charlotte, so same place that they're playing today, on December 7th, 2024. So if you like Mobley going over his point total today, you have that historical advantage. And then Miles Bridges, I mentioned he's suspended, right? Okay. So yesterday when I looked at this line, Cleveland was favored by 4.5. When I checked this morning, I checked all of these lines this morning at about 6:30 a.m. Eastern time, right? But yesterday night, last night, at about 10 p.m. Eastern time, I saw Cleveland was favored by 4.5. This morning, I saw that Cleveland was favored by 6.5. So that's bumped up a couple points there. The over-under yesterday was 235.5. That has gone down to 232.5 when I checked this morning. I looked at 3 different against the spread trends in this matchup. Charlotte won. They win all of those trends. Charlotte does have the second best record against the spread this season, 33-23, compared to Cleveland, who has the 6th worst against the spread record. Cleveland has the 10th worst against the spread record as a road favorite. They're 6-10. Charlotte's 11-8 against the spread as a home underdog. And then Cleveland, they're 15-19 against the spread after a win. But Charlotte, after a loss, has the 7th best record against the spread. They're 18-11 against the spread. Team defensive efficiency, Charlotte ranks 16th, so they're about average. I've mentioned in previous shows, team defensive efficiency basically takes the pace of play out of the equation and measures how good a defense is. typically, you could have a fast-paced offense, and you're just a fast-paced team going up against a fast-paced team, and you just naturally allow more points to be scored. But you could have a better defense than a slow-paced team, so it takes that pace of play out of the equation. Charlotte ranks 16th in team defensive efficiency, slightly below average. Let's see where they're weak. They rank 19th in points in the paint allowed per game, so slightly below average in that category. Jarrett Allen is the leader for Cleveland in points in the paint per game and ranks 21st best in the NBA, followed by Evan Mobley, who ranks 26th, Donovan Mitchell, who ranks 27th. And then Charlotte ranks 22nd in fast break points allowed per game, so slightly below average at defending against that. Donovan Mitchell ranks 5th best in the NBA in fast break points per game. Now, I do just want to clarify that typically more points in the paint are going to be scored than fast break points. I think, the points in the paint leader in the NBA has scores about an average of 18 points per game in the paint, compared to the fast break points per game leader, who's I believe it's LeBron James, who averages about 6 fast break points per game. So just wanted to give you guys that information there. Charlotte, slightly above average at defending against the three-point shot. They rank 11th in that category. Charlotte ranks 17th in assists allowed per game, slightly below average at defending against those assists per game. Harden ranks 4th best in the NBA, first for Cleveland in assists per game, followed by Donovan Mitchell, who ranks 23rd, Schroeder, who ranks 34th, and Mobley, who ranks 50th. And then, Charlotte does allow the fewest rebounds per game to opposing teams. It's Cleveland. They rank 9th. And, I also do just want to mention Charlotte is a very disciplined team. They allow the fewest free throw attempts per game to their to opposing teams at any team in the league. And then Cleveland, they rank 9th in team defensive efficiency, so they are above average in that category. They do a good job at defending those points in the paint per game. They rank 6th in that category. Fast break points allowed per game, they rank 24th, so they are near the bottom of the league in that category. Since Kobe White, let's say Kobe White does play today, he does lead the team in fast break points per game. He ranks 16th, followed by Brandon Miller, who ranks 47th. And then Cleveland ranks 23rd in three-point field goals allowed per game to opposing teams. LaMelo Ball is the leader for Charlotte in three-point field goals made per game. He ranks 4th best in the NBA, followed by Knipple, who ranks 5th, Miles Bridges, who ranks 48th. But, we mentioned he's suspended today, Miles Bridges. Assists allowed per game, Cleveland ranks 14th, so just slightly above average, but I still wanted to let you guys know that LaMelo Ball does lead the team in assists per game for Charlotte and ranks 9th best in the NBA in that category. And then Cleveland ranks 21st in rebounds allowed per game, so slightly below average in that category. Diabate is the leader for Charlotte, but, we mentioned he's suspended. So if you like maybe some other, Charlotte rebound props today, I could possibly see that happening. Cleveland slightly below average in opponent free throw attempts allowed per game. So Colin Sexton is the leader for Charlotte in free throw attempts per game, but he's not in the top 50 of the NBA in that category. He ranks 52nd. So Miles Bridges ranks 57th, Knipple 77th, Diabate 84th, LaMelo 94th. Usually I just stick with the top 50, but for some reason today I wanted to dive into it just a little bit more there. And then I just didn't have a chance to look at triple-double stats this morning. All right, and then we have Indiana at Washington. Yo, what's up, Blessed Up Pete? Bettors, can you tell me why Şengün failed to get 8.5 rebounds? He ruined my perfect parlay slips. Yeah, a lot of back-to-back games today. Hey, good to see you in the building today. Blessed up, P. Let's go see, man. I mean, what happened yesterday? Chingun. Let's go take a look real quick at that Houston game. Um, man, yesterday Houston played Charlotte, right? Houston played Charlotte yesterday, and Charlotte allows the fewest rebounds per game to opposing teams. So, right there was a tough matchup for him. Obviously, there's a lot of other factors that you could look into, Chingun versus the Hornets' history, maybe Chingun versus um, is he rebounding? Is his rebounds per 40 minutes at a higher rate this season? What is Charlotte allowing to that specific position? I mean, there's a lot of different things. There's obviously probably some more things that we could think of. What has Chingun done in the past 10 games? A lot of different factors, but right off the bat, blessed up P. That would be a concern for me yesterday going up against Charlotte, just allowing the fewest rebounds per game to opposing teams. It was a pretty tough matchup for him. I'm not saying that it can't be done just because Charlotte is the best team at limiting rebounds to opposing teams. Doesn't mean, that it can't be done, but that's a tough matchup. Okay, Indiana at Washington. Indiana, 1-game losing streak. Washington, 1-game win streak. These teams played against each other yesterday. Washington won that game. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But these teams have played against each other 3 times this season, and Washington leads the series 2-1. So Washington's won 2 out of 3 games. The first meeting was on November 29th at Indiana. This game today is at Washington. Indiana won 119-86. So that was a blowout victory there. The second meeting was on December 14th at Indiana, and Washington won in a blowout game, 108-89. But the most recent meeting was yesterday at Washington, like it is here today, and Washington won by 7 points, 112-105. Indiana has a 4-6 money line record on Fridays this season. Washington is 3-7 on the money line on Fridays this season. Indiana has won 5 consecutive games that they've played any team on February 20th. When I checked the line this morning, Indiana was favored by 1.5 points, over under 230.5. I looked at 3 different against the spread trends, and Indiana wins 2 out of 3 of those trends. Indiana is 28-28 against the spread. And Washington's 23-31, which ranks 4th worst in the NBA. So I'll give Indiana the advantage there. Indiana is 0-3 against the spread as a road favorite. But just because Indiana is a road favorite right now doesn't mean that leading up to game time, Washington won't become that home favorite. So, but as of right now, well, as of 6:30 a.m. Eastern time this morning, Indiana is 0-3 against the spread as a road favorite, and Washington's 12-13 against the spread as a home underdog. So I'll give Washington the advantage there. And then Indiana, after a loss, is 18-22 against the spread. Washington is 4-10 against the spread after a win. So I'll give Indiana the advantage there. 2 poor defensive teams in regard to team defensive efficiency. We talked about a lot of this yesterday. Washington, they have the 2nd worst team defensive efficiency, and they rank 25th in points in the paint allowed per game. But from my understanding, Siakam he's going to be out again today for personal reasons. Zubats is out again today, from my understanding. Once again, they updated this on February 17th here on rotowire.com and said that there is no timetable for Zubats to return. So if you do like any player props for Indiana today, point totals specifically, players going over, if they are decent at scoring points in the paint, I do give them, somewhat of an advantage in this game today. I like to look at NBA.com for those points in the paint leaders. A list of the top 50, but you can scroll over to, to see more players that rank in between, 51st through 99th. And you can get some of those Indiana Pacers that could pick up that slack today for the points in the paint. Since Washington is poor at defending against that, Washington is also poor at defending against those fast break points per game. Once again, though, Siakam is out today. So I'd maybe try to find somebody that's decent at scoring those fast break points for Indiana. Washington's also bad at defending against that three-point shot. They rank 24th in three-point field goals, opponent 3-point field goals made per game. So no, I didn't see anybody for Indiana in the top 50 of the NBA in three-point field goals made per game. But, if you do like somebody for Indiana today that's a decent three-point shooter, once again, Washington is below average at defending against those three-point shots. Washington allows the second most assists per game to opposing teams. And I was thinking about this yesterday. With Siakam and Zubats being out, I think assist props could be a little bit more difficult for Indiana players to hit because those are two of the top scorers for Indiana that are out. So those are two less guys that the players that are looking for those assists, the players that are passing the ball, they don't have those two main scorers. So I think, there could be some misses. But anyways, Nimhard does rank first on the team for Indiana in assists per game, ranks 8th best in the NBA, followed up by TJ McConnell, who ranks 38th. And then Washington allows the most rebounds per game, but with Zubats and Siakam being out, I would maybe check that box score from yesterday to see, who those rebound leaders were for Indiana, or who you think could get some rebounds today for Indiana. I think, you have a favorable matchup in that regard. And then Washington does rank 27th in opponent free throw attempts allowed per game. So they're near the bottom of the league in that, with Siakam being out. The leader for Indiana in free throw attempts per game is going to be Nimhard, who ranks 44th best in the NBA. And then, Indiana, let's talk about them. They rank 21st in team defensive efficiency, so they are slightly below average in that aspect. But, maybe they're worse now that Zubats and Siakam are out. I mean, those are big time players for Indiana, Indiana ranks second worst in points in the paint allowed per game. But much like Indiana here, Washington's without one of their top guys, Alex Sor, him and Anthony Davis are the points in the paint leaders, but there's got to be somebody who picks up that slack, that points in the paint slack. So if you like anybody for Washington today, and they're decent at scoring points in the paint, you got a favorable matchup there. But Indiana is good at defending against those fast break points per game. They rank 9th in that category, first in 3-point field goals allowed per game. So that's a strong strength of theirs. Indiana ranks 9th best in assists allowed per game, but they ranked second worst, but right behind Washington in rebounds allowed per game. But with Alex Sor being out, Washington doesn't have anybody in the top 50 of the NBA in rebounds per game. So, I think there are definitely rebounds to go around in this game, considering these are the two teams that allowed the most rebounds per game to opposing teams. But both of the top guys are out for both teams. And then Indiana does rank 28th in free throw attempts allowed per game. So third worst, with Alex Sor being out. George is going to be that front runner here for Washington, but he's not necessarily great at getting to the line. He does rank 81st in the NBA in that category, but maybe he draws a little bit more contact today with those guys being out. I'm not quite sure, but did want to let you guys know who that front runner was for Indiana and free throw attempts per game. And then we have Utah at Memphis. Utah at Memphis. Neither of these teams played yesterday. Utah is on a 1-game losing streak. Memphis is on a 4-game losing streak. Memphis has won 1 regular season game in a row against Utah, and Memphis has won the last 4 out of 5 regular season games against Utah. These teams have played against each other twice this season, and the season series is split 1-1. Each of them have won a game. The first game was at Memphis, like it is here today, on December 12th, and Utah won that game by 4 points, 130 to 126. The most recent game was at Utah. Once again, today's game is at Memphis, but Memphis won that game 137 to 128. Utah has a 3-6 money line record on Fridays this season. Memphis is 4-8 on the money line on Fridays this season. And Memphis has also lost 3 consecutive games that they've played any team on February 20th. When I checked yesterday morning, Memphis was favored by 4.5 points. When I checked this morning, Memphis has moved down to favored by 1.5 points. So that line's gone down 3 points. The over-under has also gone down a little bit. Yesterday morning, it was at 241.5. This morning, I saw it at 238.5. I looked at 3 different against the spread trends. Utah wins all 3 of those trends. I mentioned this yesterday. I wouldn't just because a team wins all of the against the spread trends doesn't necessarily mean to just go ahead and take them. Brooklyn yesterday, I think, had all the against the spread trends in their favor, and they got blown out yesterday. I don't believe they covered. So, but Utah does lead those trends 3-0. Utah does have the 7th best against the spread record in the NBA. Memphis has the 10th worst. All right, so I'm not going to get into the other stuff for time's sake, but Utah, they are a bad defensive team. They rank 30th, which is the worst in the NBA in team defensive efficiency. They rank 17th in points in the paint allowed per game, which really, compared to all the other categories, that's actually a strength of theirs, but that's still below average. The points in the paint leaders for Memphis are out today. Morant and Edey. So, but there's got to be somebody like that last game that we just talked about. There's got to be somebody that picks up the slack there for points in the paint. So if you know somebody, I would go to maybe NBA.com, look to see who is the next man up in those points in the paint. Because all I looked at was the top 50 of the NBA, and it was just Edey and Morant who are unavailable today. Utah ranks 28th, so 3rd worst in fast break points allowed per game. Ty Jerome ranks 34th best in the NBA in fast break points per game, but I think he is out too. I mean, Memphis is dealing with a lot of injuries, yes. Ty Jerome is out for this game today. So if you can find somebody that's decent at those fast break points, I think you're looking okay there. And then Utah allows the most 3-point field goals made per game to opposing teams. Cam Spencer, the projected starting point guard for Memphis today, ranks 1st on the team, 46th best in the NBA in 3-point field goals made per game. Also, Utah allows the most assists per game to opposing teams. Cam Spencer, once again, is the leader for this team and ranks 24th best in the NBA in assists per game. And then Utah, slightly below average in rebounds allowed per game. They rank 22nd in that category. Alama is the leader, but he's out today. So, but if you like somebody for the rebounds today, basically shop is open for Memphis players today. Utah also allows the 2nd most free throw attempts per game to opposing teams. Not too many Memphis players get to the free throw line often, but Alama does rank 87th, although he's out today. Jalen Wells ranks 89th best in the NBA, and then Coward ranks 93rd. But I believe Coward is out too here. Yeah, they're dealing with a lot of injuries here today. Okay, so Memphis is slightly below average in team defensive efficiency. They rank 17th in that category. They are above average at defending against those points in the paint per game. They rank 12th. They rank 7th in fast break points allowed per game, but they are struggling at defending against that 3-point shot. They allow the 5th most 3-point field goals made per game to opposing teams. So Markkanen is the leader for Utah and ranks 22nd best in the NBA in 3-point field goals made per game, followed by Keontae George, who's out today. But anyways, let's see. Memphis, they rank 19th in assists allowed per game, so slightly below average at defending against that. Collier ranks 7th best in the NBA, first on the Utah Jazz in assists per game, followed by George, who's out today, who ranks 14th, and then Nurkic, who's out today. He ranks 39th. Memphis slightly below average in rebounds allowed per game. So Nurkic ranks 9th in the NBA in rebounds per game. He's out. And then it's Markkanen, who ranks 39th, and then Filipowski, who ranks 46th. Memphis does a pretty decent job at limiting those free throw attempts per game. They rank 10th best in that category. All right. Then we have Miami Heat at Atlanta Hawks. Miami didn't play yesterday, but Atlanta did. So, Atlanta actually, we'll get into the against the spread trends, but Atlanta is 9-5 against the spread with rest disadvantage. Since they played yesterday, they, have rest disadvantage. Since Miami didn't, they have rest advantage. Miami's 4-5 against the spread with rest advantage. But yeah, I give Atlanta the overall advantage with that. But, Atlanta has won one regular season game in a row against Miami. These teams have played against each other twice this season, and the season series is split 1-1. The first game was on 12/26 at Atlanta, like it is here today, and Miami won 126-111. And I don't know if I forgot to mention, but both of these teams are on one-game win streaks, okay? Anyways, the most recent game was on February 3rd at Miami, and Atlanta won that game 127-115. Miami has a 4-4 record on money line record on Fridays this season. Atlanta 6-5 on the money line on Fridays this season. And when I checked last night, at 10 p.m. Eastern time, I saw that Miami was favored by 2.5. When I checked this morning, I saw Miami's favored by 3.5. The over-under last night was 242.5. This morning, it's climbed to 244.5. I looked at 4 different against the spread trends on this game, and they split those trends 2-2. Miami does have the 4th best record against the spread this season. They're 32-24. Atlanta's 27-30. Miami also has the 3rd best record against the spread as a road favorite. It's a relatively small sample size. They're 5-2 against the spread as a road favorite compared to Atlanta, who's 7-6 against the spread as a home underdog. Atlanta is better against the spread slightly after a win than Miami is. And then we already talked about that rest advantage versus rest disadvantage. Team defensive efficiency. So, Miami, they have a good defense, but their pace of play is fast. So they do allow some points in the paint per game, fast break points per game. They rank 5th best. All right. This is an interesting team because they rank 5th best in team defensive efficiency. But let's see where they rank in all these other categories. They rank 22nd in points in the paint allowed per game. Jalen Johnson is the leader for Atlanta and ranks 8th best in the NBA in points in the paint per game, followed by Dyson Daniels, who ranks 37th. Miami ranks 14th in fast break points allowed per game, so slightly above average. And defending against that, still, I wanted to give you guys some players for Atlanta that were decent at those fast break points. Jalen Johnson ranks 6th best in the NBA. Nickeil Alexander-Walker ranks 7th. Riza Shea ranks 42nd in that category. Miami ranks 20th in 3-point field goals allowed per game. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the leader for Atlanta, ranks 13th in the NBA in 3-point field goals made per game, followed by McCollum, who ranks 29th. And then Miami assists allowed per game ranks 25th. So Jalen Johnson ranks first on the team, fifth best for Atlanta, or fifth best in the NBA in assists per game, followed by Dyson Daniels, who ranks 21st. And then Miami rebounds allowed per game ranks 26th, so below average. Jalen Johnson ranks seventh best in the NBA, first on the team in rebounds per game, followed by Okongwu, who ranks 27th, and Dyson Daniels, who ranks 50th. So that's just interesting about Miami, and then team defensive efficiency for Atlanta, they rank 17th in that category. Okay, so Atlanta is below average in that aspect. Atlanta ranks 23rd in points in the paint allowed per game. Jaquez is the leader for Miami and ranks 30th best in the NBA in points in the paint per game, followed by Tyler Hero, who ranks 32nd. And once again, he's probable to play today after missing some time. I would check to see if there are any minutes restrictions on Tyler Hero before you fire up those props. Atlanta, they rank fourth worst in defending against those fast break points allowed per game. Norman Powell, I believe we said he's questionable or out today, but he is the leader for Miami in fast break points per game, ranks 11th best in the NBA, followed by Hero, who ranks 29th, Andrew Wiggins, who ranks 49th. Atlanta slightly below average at defending against those three-point field goals per game, made per game. They rank 17th in that category. And then Norman Powell is the leader for Miami and ranks 17th in three-point field goals made per game. And then it is Atlanta. They rank 20th in assists allowed per game, so slightly below average. Davion Mitchell is the leader for Miami in assists per game, ranks 10th best in the NBA, followed by Jaquez, who ranks 42nd. And then Atlanta ranks 24th in rebounds allowed per game, below average. Bam Adebayo ranks best on the team, 10th best in the NBA in rebounds per game, followed by Khalil Ware, who ranks 11th in that category. Also, Atlanta is slightly below average at limiting those opponent free throw attempts per game. Norman Powell is the leader for Miami in free throw attempts per game, ranks 27th in the NBA, followed by Bam, who ranks 31st, Jaquez 63rd, Larson 91st. And we have Dallas at Minnesota. Dallas is on a 9-game losing streak. Minnesota, 2-game win streak. Neither of these teams played yesterday. Minnesota has won 4 regular season games in a row against Dallas. These teams have played against each other twice this season, and Minnesota won both of those games. The first meeting was on November 17th at Minnesota, like it is here today. And Minnesota won by 24 points, 120 to 96. The most recent game was on January 28th at Dallas, and Minnesota won 118 to 105. Dallas has a 2-5 money line record on Fridays this season. Minnesota has a 4-4 money line record on Fridays this season. Dallas has won 4 consecutive times that they've played any team on this exact date, February 20th, 4 consecutive games that they've played any team. And then on this date, and then I did notice that DiVincenzo, the projected starting point guard, has a 12-3 career record against PJ Washington, who is the projected starting power forward for the Dallas Mavericks. When I looked at this line yesterday morning at about 6 a.m. Eastern time, Minnesota was favored by 11.5 points. When I checked this morning, Minnesota was favored by 13.5 points. Yesterday morning, over-under was 235.5. This morning, I saw it at 237.5. Looked at 3 different against the spread trends here. Minnesota wins 2 out of 3 of those trends. Minnesota, they're 25-31 against the spread, which does rank 7th worst in the NBA. But Dallas is 23-31, which ranks 3rd worst. So I'll give Minnesota the advantage there. Dallas also has the 3rd worst against the spread record as a road underdog, and the 5th worst against the spread record after a loss. Although Minnesota after a win is has a worse record than Dallas does after a loss against the spread. So, anyways, long story short, Minnesota wins those against the spread trends 2-1. So when we look at team defensive efficiency for both of these teams, they are both above average. Dallas ranks 14th in that category. Minnesota ranks 8th. But Dallas does allow the most points in the paint per game to opposing teams. So I think guys like Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards could very well take advantage of that today, considering that Julius Randle ranks 25th best in the NBA in points in the paint per game. Anthony Edwards ranks 34th. Obviously, there's a lot more information that you guys could look at, but wanted to give you guys, a nice foundation to start your day here with. And then Dallas, they are slightly below average in allowing those fast break points per game. They rank 18th in that category. Dosunmu for Minnesota is the leader for this team in fast break points per game. He ranks 11th best in the NBA, followed by Anthony Edwards, who ranks 19th. 3-point field goals allowed per game. Dallas does defend against that well. They rank 3rd best in that category. Assists allowed per game. Dallas ranks 21st. Julius Randle is the leader for Minnesota, and assists per game ranks 28th best in the NBA, followed by DiVincenzo, who ranks 45th. And then Dallas allows the 3rd most rebounds per game to opposing teams. Gobert is the leader for Minnesota in rebounds per game, ranks 4th best in the NBA, followed by Julius Randle, who ranks 38th best in the NBA. Dallas does limit those opponent free throw attempts per game. They rank 9th best in that category. Minnesota, they're slightly above average at defending those points in the paint per game. They rank 14th in that category. They rank 8th in fast break points allowed. Fast break points allowed per game. 8th in 3-point field goals allowed per game. 11th in assists allowed per game. Rebounds allowed per game. They do rank 15th. So PJ Washington does lead the team in rebounds per game, ranks 40th in the NBA, followed by Cooper Flagg, who ranks 48th, Gafford, who ranks 49th. And then Minnesota, they do rank 25th in opponent free throw attempts allowed per game. So I could see, I believe Flagg is out today, but maybe, Brandon Williams, who ranks 43rd in free throw attempts per game, take advantage of that. Marshall, who ranks 45th, PJ Washington, 61st. Bagley, 86th, and Gafford, 98th. How many games do we have left to cover here? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm running behind on time here. Let me see if I have anything that kind of just stood out to me. I looked at 3 different against the spread trends with that Milwaukee and New Orleans game. New Orleans wins all 3 of those trends. Oklahoma City and Brooklyn, those trends are split 2-2. Same with the Clippers and Lakers, split 2-2. Denver leads those against the spread trends 3-1. But let's talk about this Clippers and Lakers game in case I don't have time to cover some other games. The Clippers are on a 2-game win streak. The Lakers on a 1-game win streak. The Clippers played yesterday, but the Lakers did not. The Clippers have won 2 regular season games in a row against the Lakers. These teams have played against each other 3 times this season, and the Clippers have won 2 of those games. I'm not going to, really talk about all of the matchups, the meetings there, the scores, but the Clippers are 7-3 on the money line on Fridays this season. The Lakers are 6-2. The Clippers have lost 3 consecutive games they've played any team on February 20th. I noticed that John Collins, the projected starting power forward for the Clippers, has an 11-1 career record against DeAndre Ayton. When I checked that line last night, Lakers favored by 6.5. It was the same story this morning. Lakers favored by 6.5. Over under has dropped from 224.5 to 223.5. Team defensive efficiency, both of these teams are below average in that regard. The Clippers rank 20th, Lakers rank 23rd. So let's talk about these points in the paint per game. The Lakers rank 21st in that category, so they are slightly below average at defending against those points in the paint per game. Kawhi Leonard ranks first on the team, 28th best in the NBA in points in the paint per game. Fast break points allowed per game, Lakers are slightly below average at defending against that. They rank 16th in that category. Here's Kawhi Leonard again, who ranks fourth best in the NBA in fast break points per game, followed by Mathurin, who ranks 24th. And then 3-point field goals allowed per game. The Lakers do rank 18th in that category, so slightly below average. Kawhi Leonard ranks 24th in the NBA in 3-point field goals made per game, first on the Clippers in that category. And then, I did notice that the Lakers ranked 23rd in assists allowed per game. I didn't see anybody for the Clippers in the top 50 of the NBA in assists per game. But if you do like somebody for the Clippers getting some assists today, you have that working with you today. And then for the Clippers defense, they do a good job at defending against those points in the paint per game. They rank ninth best in that category, but I could see LeBron possibly taking advantage of that. The Clippers fast break defense, they rank 20th in fast break points allowed per game, and LeBron does not only lead the team, but leads the NBA in fast break points per game. Luka Doncic, I could see possibly taking advantage of the Clippers 3-point defense today. Clippers ranked 19th in 3-point field goals allowed per game, and Doncic ranks third best in the NBA in 3-point field goals made per game. All right. Milwaukee and Pelicans. I don't really have much to say about that. Really, because Giannis is out again, so that's tough. Both of those teams, Milwaukee and the Pelicans, they're both bad at defending against 3-point field goals. But I believe the Pelicans' leader in 3-point field goals made per game is going to be out today, Trey Murphy. But if you like somebody else for New Orleans, taking advantage of that vulnerability there for Milwaukee, I could see that happening. And then the Pelicans rank second worst in 3-point field goals allowed per game. So guys like AJ Green, Ryan Rollins, Miles Turner could take advantage of that today. Although I think Miles Turner is out, I've listed off a lot of the injuries at the start of the show, but AJ Green does rank 10th best in the NBA. Ryan Rollins 36th. The Pelicans also allow the fourth most assists per game to opposing teams. Ryan Rollins ranks 27th best in the NBA in assists per game. Rebounds allowed per game. Let me backtrack. Milwaukee is slightly below average in those assists allowed per game. So I could see Derek Queen possibly taking advantage of that, considering he's the leader for the Pelicans and ranks 46th best in the NBA in assists per game. And then both of these teams are below average in those rebounds allowed per game. Pelicans ranked fourth worst in rebounds allowed per game. Bobby Portis, first on the team, 47th best in the NBA in rebounds per game. Milwaukee ranks 20th in rebounds allowed per game. Derek Queen ranks first on the Pelicans, 32nd best in the NBA in rebounds per game. I also did want to mention that Milwaukee does rank 22nd in opponent free throw attempts per game. So I could see Zion taking advantage of that today, considering he ranks fifth best in the entire NBA in free throw attempts per game. And then Bay, who ranks 46th, Murphy 53rd, Queen 62nd, Fears 90th. And I do just want to mention that Milwaukee has won 4 consecutive games that they've played any team on February 20th. The Pelicans have lost 4 consecutive games that they've played any team on February 20th. Milwaukee is also they have a better money line record on Fridays this season than the Pelicans do. And then I think Brooklyn and then the Nuggets game. The Brooklyn game, just a lot of injuries. What I will say about this Brooklyn and Oklahoma City game is that Oklahoma City is they are vulnerable to that 3-point shot. And Michael Porter Jr., I could see taking advantage of that today. He ranks second best in the NBA in 3-point field goals made per game. Dimon ranks 30th in 3-point field goals made per game. But Oklahoma City does allow the third most 3-point field goals made per game to opposing teams. Oklahoma City also, allows some rebounds. They rank 25th in rebounds allowed per game. So Claxton, if he ends up playing today, ranks 31st in the NBA in rebounds per game. Michael Porter Jr. 34th, Sharp 43rd. Brooklyn, they're vulnerable to those points in the paint per game. They allow the fifth most points in the paint per game, the most fast break points per game. excuse me, they're good at defending against those 3-point field goals. Um, but Brooklyn is below average in assists allowed per game. They rank 22nd in that category, 13th in rebounds allowed per game. I already mentioned that those splits against the spread trends were splits 2-2. Both Brooklyn, by the way, has lost 2 games in a row. Oklahoma City's lost 1 game in a row, and then this Denver game. Let me see if there's really anything here. If Jeremy Grant ends up playing, he is the projected starting power forward for Portland today. That is kind of a revenge spot. If you guys like those revenge looks, he used to play with the Nuggets. Denver's on a 1-game losing streak. Portland 1-game win streak. Uh, Portland has won 2 regular season games in a row against Denver. Portland has won the only matchup that these guys played against each other this season, 109-107. That game was also on a Friday, like it is here today. That game was also at Portland, like it is here today. Denver 5-4 on the money line on Fridays this season. Portland 6-5 on the money line on Fridays this season. Portland has lost 4 consecutive games that they've played any team on this exact date. Denver was -3.5 when I checked last night. Then they went to -2.5 when I checked this morning. Big vulnerabilities here. Portland allows the second most fast break points per game. So Christian Brown, I mentioned that yesterday. I don't know if he took advantage of those fast break points in the game against the Clippers, but I think he has maybe even a little bit better matchup to do so here today, considering that Portland ranks second worst in fast break points allowed per game. Christian Brown is the leader for the Nuggets and ranks 30th best in the NBA in fast break points per game. But overall, you know. Um, Portland, they rank 18th in points in the paint allowed per game, slightly below average. Jokic is the leader for the Nuggets, ranks 3rd best in the NBA in that category. Portland ranks 13th in 3-point field goals allowed per game, slightly above average. Portland ranks 15th in assists allowed per game, so Jokic is the leader in the NBA in assists per game. Jamal Murray ranks 6th best in the NBA in that category. Portland, they rank 23rd in opponent free throw attempts per game. So, Jokic, Murray are the 2 leaders for the Nuggets in that category. And then, we talked about the Nuggets defense yesterday. They're pretty average at defending against everything. So really, Avdia, he is a guy who I see on this list a lot. He's the leader in points in the paint for Portland. He's a decent fast break point scorer. He's a decent 3-point shooter. And we know he can get to the free throw line, and Denver is slightly below average in limiting those free throw attempts per game to opposing teams. So I can see Avdia having a solid game if you guys find some more information today that supports that. And then, fast break points allowed per game. Thibault does lead the team for Portland, ranks 9th best in the NBA in fast break points per game. Sharp ranks 11th. Avdia ranks 27th, just so you know. And then Denver, they rank 16th in 3-point field goals allowed per game. So Kamara is the leader for Portland. He ranks 28th best in the NBA in 3-point field goals made per game, followed by Jeremy Grant, 42nd. Avdia, who ranks 43rd. Krejci, who ranks 47th. Sharp, 50th. Also, another guy that's good at getting to the free throw line is Jeremy Grant. He ranks 21st in the NBA for Portland and 21st in the NBA in free throw attempts per game. Sharp 42nd, Klingon 97th. Both of these teams are above average in limiting those rebounds per game. Okay, Portland ranks 10th best in that category. Denver ranks 6th best in that category. Denver, just for your notes here, they rank 13th in assists allowed per game. Okay, but I think that about is all the time that I have for today. Everybody, thank you so much for joining. I will see you guys soon. Let me just make sure that I didn't have anything else that I wanted to go over real quick. I think that's about it. and all that I really have time for today. But yeah, thank you again for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate the comments and the support. Also, thank you to the sponsors: BetUS, MyBookie.ag, Walmart.com, Open Goal, the MLB and NFL Pro Shops, and W Energy Drinks. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Take care and good luck today.
This non-casual podcast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without the authorized written consent of the Not Move Podcast Network. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.